Hey there, greetings. How are you doing on this Friday? I'm Bernie Nicholas, and this is The Bernie Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Please do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's just one click, and you hit the like button. It's one other click. Easy. Thank you. We appreciate your support. Today's topic here on The Bernie Show. Will the Cardinals ever come up with a set of outfielders that will, as a group, put up strong offensive numbers? Because I'm beginning to wonder about that. And I've been talking and writing about this for a couple years now, and it's getting old. In Thursday's video, I rated starting pitching as the area of most concern for the Cardinals as they move forward under their new president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, when he takes over soon. Over the last 3 seasons, the Redbirds have, just a recap briefly, over the last 3 seasons, the Redbirds have one of the worst rotations in the majors in terms of ERA and some other numbers. And they have the worst rotation over a 3-season block of seasons of any Cardinals team during the expansion era, which began in 1961. It's a big problem. It must be attacked, because if you're going to have awful starting pitching, pretty much every other part of your team's going to have to be great. And we know that ain't the case here with the St. Louis Cardinals. So they need to fix that starting pitching and upgrade it. Not going to get from the bottom to the top in 1 year, but you got to start moving up in terms of performance standards. But I tell you what, their outfield runs a pretty close second on the problems list, the worry list, the concerns list, the things to do list. And I'm not referring to defense, okay? This is about the offense being collectively generated by the St. Louis outfield. And frankly, it is pathetic. Not only that, this is not a one-time thing. This has been an issue going back 7 or 8 seasons, but it's really gotten bad since the start of 2023. And the weak offense put out there by Cardinals outfielders has really bottomed out, in particular over the last 2 seasons since the start of 2024. And I'm not exaggerating here, okay? I wish I could bring you good news or tell you something that maybe some of you want to hear, but I can't do it, because the outfield offense here in St. Louis by this group of outfielders last year and this year in particular is truly awful. And it makes me kind of sad in a way, because since 1989, and those of you who have been around, long enough to remember that time, think about all the great outfielders that have sort of come along in St. Louis since Bill DeWitt, especially since Bill DeWitt purchased the team before the 1996 season. And I had the pleasure of writing about some outstanding Cardinals teams with outstanding offenses. And not every single time, but most of the time, those St. Louis teams that have had really splendid offenses, were getting. So a lot of that prosperity came from the fact that they had an offense that was producing at a very high level. I like to throw names out there, because you know what? I know when I'm watching something or reading something and I see a list of names, it sort of brings back some memories, and I usually wind up smiling. So I'm going to try to do the same. So since I started writing a column here in St. Louis in 1989, doing talk radio the whole time, now thankfully doing YouTube and some other things. Here are some of the men who played outfield for the St. Louis Cardinals and who did it in a way that was prominent, and they were really, really good. And even some of those who were not superstars really helped the team, because, it isn't just your 3 starters, it's other people you can plug in. Let's go with the roll call. Since 1989, since my time of covering Cardinals baseball, that's when it began. Jim Edmonds, Matt Holliday, Ray Lankford, Cardinals Hall of Famers, those 3. Larry Walker was terrific 2 seasons in St. Louis. He's a Cooperstown Hall of Famer. Carlos Beltran, probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. Talking about Cooperstown, he was a Cardinal for 2 really good seasons. Lance Berkman, same deal. 2 really good seasons in St. Louis, one that was injury plagued. You had J.D. Drew. You didn't have to like him personally, but J.D. Drew put up terrific numbers as a right fielder for St. Louis. I forget what years they were. It doesn't matter. See, I don't want to get bogged down talking about the years and all that. J.D. Drew was an outstanding hitter and pretty good defender too. You had Alan Craig, Reggie Sanders, Ryan Ludwig, Brian Jordan, Bernard Gilkey, Ron Gant. There was the younger Tommy Pham. There was Chris Duncan in 2006. Take a look at his numbers in 2006. Rick Ankiel was a dynamic outfield presence for a while. Colby Rasmus had his moments. So Taguchi had his moments. The home run off Billy Wagner in Game 2 of the 2006 NLCS. Marcell Ozuna had his moments. Randall Grichuk had some good times. And John Jay was actually above league average offensively during his St. Louis seasons. And there were players like, for example, Skip Schumacher, one of the more popular Cardinals during this time, who they weren't necessarily great hitters, but they were really good players. And Skip Schumacher, you saw him in the outfield and at second base a lot. And there's a lot of other names too. And I just wanted to give you the ones that, during their time in St. Louis, put up a really good amount of offense. There have been a few good offensive seasons posted here and there by Cardinals outfielders in recent years, but these are just isolated examples of a short peak performance that didn't last. I'll give you my favorite example of what I'm talking about. In 2021, the Cardinals had an outfield of Tyler O'Neill, Harrison Bader, and Dylan Carlson. All right. You might recall Harry Bader. It was a game in Chicago, and he went diving for a ball, and he cracked a couple of ribs, and so he was out for a long time. Tyler O'Neill had some minor injuries that year. He was out for a while. I don't know whether Dylan Carlson probably was out for a little while too. But anyway, those guys didn't start playing together as the starting outfield until around July of the 2021 season. That's when you could plug them in and play them. And they were there pretty much uninterrupted from the start of July to the end of the season. And listen, over those final 3 regular season months, that Cardinals offense put up outstanding numbers over that time. And these guys, as a group, put up outstanding numbers over the final 3 months. You could see that they had something. They really had something good and potentially special because all those guys were young. Well, as we know, this was just a temporary thing. It didn't last. But while they were terrific, while they were going through 3 fantastic months, that trio, of course, was also a big part of that 17-game winning streak in September under Mike Shildt that propelled the 2021 Cardinals into a wild card spot. So when you think about all these outfield names and you think about all the good offenses and the good times that they provided, it's frustrating to see this abject futility of the recent seasons where the Cardinals are embarrassing in terms of the lack of production from their outfield as a whole. It's a dormant outfield for the most part offensively. It is a substantial drag on the team's overall offense, which, as you know, has been mediocre for the last 3 seasons. Last year, not good at all. This year started off well, then faded. Well, no wonder when the outfield is 1/3 of your 9 players you have in your lineup. An outfield can make or break you. So if your outfield stinks, you're talking about, gosh, how many plate appearances does your outfield as a whole take each year? It's a lot. So if those guys are not putting any numbers up, your offense is pretty much going to stink, or it's not going to rise to a high level. I can guarantee you that. That's why I'm making a big deal about this, because it is a big deal. I'll give you the lowdown on the extremely low outfield production when I return for my second segment. But first, it's DraftKings time. And if you haven't played DraftKings Pick 6 Daily Fantasy game before, there's time to jump in for the final few weeks of the baseball season. Then you got the baseball postseason. And this weekend, you got the start of college football season tomorrow, Saturday, August 23rd. We got a few good matchups on the docket, including Kansas State versus Iowa State and Fresno State at Kansas. Kurt Warner's son is the starting quarterback for Fresno State. And some of you already know, Battlehawks coach Anthony Beck, his son, Rocco Beck, is the starting quarterback at Iowa State, and he's one of the best in the country. So there's so many things to jump into here. That's why I'm using this to tell you, let the good times roll at DraftKings, Pick 6. Postseason baseball on the way, college and NFL football on the way, NHL, NBA, a lot of action. Great time to be a sports fan. Fantastic time to play DraftKings Pick 6. DraftKings Pick Six makes it simple to get started. And so put your sports IQ to use. Put it to good use because you can win some cash. Just download the Pick Six app from DraftKings, and it's easy to get started in making your selections. Each day, DraftKings sets a stat line for dozens of major league hitters or pitchers for their next game. What you do is you pick more or less the line that is set for each individual player or pitcher. More or less what that line is. Like you say, for example, 0.5 home runs. And that line's set for a lot of different hitters for tonight. 0.5 home runs. So if you think, oh, yeah, I think this guy's going to hit a home run tonight, well, you would select more. If you don't think he's going to hit a home run, you would select less. That's how hypothetically it works. I don't have a good example for you today because got bogged down doing some other things. And, sometimes I can't get to everything. But I was just going to tell you, yeah, there's a lot of really good things to choose from. And DraftKings even gives you trend information. If you click on the player's profile, one click, all that pops up. You can see how he's been doing in that category in the last week or so. Pick Six available here in Missouri, so there's nothing to hold you back. I really enjoy playing DraftKings Pick Six. I can't wait to get into Pick Six fantasy with these other sports, and I think you're going to like it too, and I hope you join me. Don't settle for smaller payouts at other places. No way. You deserve better. You don't have to put up with that. So just switch to DraftKings Pick Six, and you're going to be at the right place, at the right spot, at the right time for winning that cash. Right now, new customers will receive $25 of bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Just use the code STL Sports for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Once again, that code STL Sports. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, welcome back to the second segment of the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. Here's a reminder, begging you, pleading with you. No, I'm just asking for a favor to please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button. We just want to grow our numbers more. The numbers are great, but we want to grow them more. Back to a St. Louis offense that continues to be pulled down by lousy offensive production. Sure, we see some outfielders doing their part at the plate. I'm not saying they all are bad. We're talking about their work offensively as a group. Like, for example, Alec Burleson is the most notable example. He's having a good year offensively, but otherwise it's pretty bleak. Over the last 3 seasons, the Cardinals outfield, when compared to the other 29 outfield groups, 7% below average offensively. Just to put that into context, that ranks 25th among the 30 outfields. Since the start of 2023, the St. Louis outfield is 26th in OPS, 26th in runs batted in, 27th in slugging, 27th in homers, 28th in isolated power. It's even worse over the last 2 seasons, with the St. Louis outfield producing offense at a rate that is 12% below league average, which is about 26th. And since the start of last season, St. Louis outfielders collectively are 27th in slugging, and they are last in the majors in home runs and isolated power. In 24 and 25, Cardinals outfielders have hit 73 total home runs. They could hit a few more before the end of the year, but as of now, since the start of last year, St. Louis outfielders have hit 73 total home runs. You want some perspective? Jim Edmonds hit 81 home runs by himself in 2 seasons, back-to-back seasons, 2003 and 2004. So Jimmy by himself is going to end up in those 2 seasons hitting more home runs than all of the outfielders with the Cardinals the last 2 seasons. If that doesn't tell you how bad it is, I think that's a hell of a find, that stat. That really puts it in perspective. Anyway, it isn't all about home runs, of course. I know that. But in this day and age, if you do not hit home runs and you can't get them out of places like the outfield, especially the outfield corners, A shortage of home runs is an absolute killer. It just is. Burleson has put up solid numbers over the last 2 years when used as an outfielder, and Lars Nootbaar is above average offensively when he's able to play. But we know the story on that, right? And we're not talking about, with all due respect to Burley and, a tip of the cap to Newt because he's been very good at times. We're not talking about a franchise piece type of outfield player who can turn this offense on and keep those lights going and keep that power coming and keep the runs coming. What they're producing, the guys that are even pretty good, what they're producing doesn't stand out when you look around the majors and you see all these tremendous offensive performances being put up by star outfielders everywhere. Outfielders that make a difference with their bats often, sometimes for weeks at a time. Over the last 2 seasons, the Cardinals can't do that because over the last 2 seasons, there's been extreme shortages of offense from Jordan Walker, Victor Scott II, and Michael Siani. There's other outfielders, obviously, but I'm mentioning kind of the crux of the matter. Walker's had a lot of plate appearances the last couple of years. Victor Scott, the last couple of years as well. He's getting a little better offensively, not much better. Michael Siani, same thing. He's most of the year down in Memphis. Played way too much last year and didn't hit at all. The same can be applied to Dylan Carlson in 2024 before the Cardinals traded him at the deadline. His offense had dried up. Brendan Donovan puts up good numbers playing second base. I don't know why it should make a difference, but his numbers playing left field the last couple of years are at best league average when he's used in left field. So think about the consequences of having, and I mentioned this earlier, but I want to reemphasize a point. Think about the consequences of having such a dull offense from your 3 outfield spots, left field, center field, right field. That's 1/3 of the total plate appearances taken by your entire lineup. And the Cardinals infield hasn't generated as much offense as I would like to see, you would like to see. But the last 2 years, the infield as a group is above the league average offensively. The DH spot is about league average offensively, and that's because one of the things I disagree that Ollie Marmol does, he keeps using the DH position as a place to give players like a half a day off or whatever. So if you got a Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado are not hitting, it's like, I want to give him a half a day off. I'll put him at DH. I've never understood this idea that you should use the DH as a rocking chair when you have other hitters on the team that may, for example, may not play really good defense, but they're born to hit, and you can give you a platoon matchup advantage, things like that. But Ollie, too often, and I've talked to him about this and even asked him directly about it on Camo X, he wants to use DH a lot of times as a rocking chair. I don't get it. Ollie, dude, you need to score runs, okay? Anyway, I'm going to go back to the past again here now. So listen to this. And this tells you how far they've fallen and why I'm making a big deal about it. You know why? Because I mentioned earlier. Because it is a big freaking deal, okay? From 2002 through 2013, that's 12 seasons, the Cardinals had the highest rate of offense generated by a major league outfield. They ranked first in weighted runs created plus. They were second or third in batting average, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, isolated power, and home runs. They drove in a ton of runs. They were an engine for this offense, a big part of it for sure. And certainly that outfield and the way that they played, not only defensively, but offensively, that's a pretty significant factor in why the Cardinals won 4 pennants and 2 World Series during one of the great runs in franchise history from 2002 through 2013. And if I'm remembering correctly, they also made the NLCS in 2002. Made the NLCS in a couple of those other years. Didn't get the pennant, but they were right in the middle of everything. But the team's outfield offense has been slowly deteriorating since then. Outgoing president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, has been cycling through outfielders like crazy, trying to find the right combination, kind of get the mix just right, trying to be, this is the group, we're going to go with that. And it never works out. They come and they go. They come and they go. Cycle in, cycle out. Then you had, of course, Mo traded Randy Rosarina to Tampa for Matthew Liberatore. He released Adolis Garcia, both of whom became all-stars with their new teams. And before you start typing in a comment, let me just head you off at the pass. I am well aware that Adolis Garcia was designated for assignment by the Rangers, and no other major league team picked him up. He was there for anyone to pick him up. No one did. So when the Cardinals designated him for assignment, Garcia was taken in by the Rangers, and then they cut him. And then they had a bunch of injuries. So, well, we better get him back here. So that's one of my pet peeves, when people completely bastardize the whole Adolis Garcia story in terms of, oh, the Cardinals must have been really stupid. Well, and actually, all 30 teams had a chance to claim him and to give him a uniform, and they did. So it's just one of those things. And I also think that the Rosarina trade could look better if Liberatore evolves into a very good starting pitcher here in St. Louis. So that the book's not closed on that one just yet. But here are some of the other outfielders who have come and gone under John Mozeliak. Dexter Fowler, Jason Hayward, Stephen Piscotty, Peter Borges, Tommy Pham, Brandon Moss, remember Jeremy Hazelbaker? He got a lot of at-bats one year. Jose Martinez. They stuck him in the outfield. Didn't know what to do with him. Marcell Ozuna came and went. Tyler, and cost him 2 good pitchers. Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson, Harry Bader, Justin Williams. Remember him? Corey Dickerson, Juan Yepes, Lane Thomas, Tommy Edmond. And I mean, on. And Edmond did play some outfield. On and on and on and on and on. There's more. That outfield churn, cycle in, cycle out. Outfielders in, outfielders gone. It just hasn't produced much offense, and there's never produced any stability in the outfield offensively. And as Mo nears the exit, he's leaving this game of outfield Jenga behind for Chaim Bloom to figure out. When I return for my third final segment of today's Bernie Show, I'm going to talk about what can be done to make the outfield offense come to life again. But speaking of coming alive again, and with more power, I'll offer some encouraging words to my fellow man about Blue Chew. Gentlemen, Blue Chew can help raise your game for those intimate, exciting times with your partner, and you can add even more pleasure with your partner with an assist from Big Blue. That is Blue Chew. No need for you to hesitate, feel shy, feel awkward. Not at all. Just chew it and do it. It's just that simple. You can increase your horsepower, increase your manpower, increase your quality of life. Just you got to do the one thing you got to do at the front of this is ask Blue Chew for some help. Instead of being a dud, why not set off some fireworks with your significant other? Blue Chew can get you there. Fellas, if you need a more powerful bat, as I like to say, Blue Chew's right there in the equipment room, so why don't you go get some? You can hit home runs in the bedroom or any other damn room in the house, right? And this applies to men of all ages, including dudes like me who are in their 60s. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets that will enhance performance. You will get your first month of Blue Chew free. You're just a few clicks away. You sign up at BlueChew.com. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers. And once you are approved, you will receive your prescription at your doorstep in a few days. Blue Chew, made in the USA. It can be yours, and it's done online. It's done simply and with total privacy. So try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use the promo code Bernie. That's me, Bernie. Pay $5 shipping. Promo code Bernie to get your first month free, and only cost to you is the $5 shipping fee. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety info. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. All right, let's get into number 3 here. We'll keep this one pretty brief because I don't have a big, long list of things to throw at you on this one. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that'll help us a lot, so we appreciate it. Okay, what can Chaim Bloom do to bring the outfield offense, back to life? This season, I haven't talked about this season specifically. This season, the St. Louis outfield as a group is supplying outfield offense at a level that is 13% below league average. How bad is that? Well, I did the research, and that would be the worst outfield offense in a season by the Cardinals since Bill DeWitt became the team owner before the 1996 campaign. Yes, if this holds up, we're looking at a 30-year low point for outfield offense in St. Louis. And that's Chaim Bloom's starting point, just like fixing a rotation that has collapsed. Now you got basically the worst outfield offense that they've had in St. Louis since Bill DeWitt took over. That's a pretty tough starting point for Chaim Bloom, but that's why they hired him, to fix everything that is broken. Listen, I don't see any easy solutions. I know a lot of people will pretend it's, I love all my friends who are bloggers out there. Well, there's a few bloggers that are really good. My guy, Josh Jacobs at Redbird Rents is very good. Check him out. But there's a lot of people throw stuff against the wall and they claim to have answers to everything. And like 90% of what they propose is so detached from reality. I wonder if they're using some kind of narcotics or something. Anyway, just kidding. I don't see any easy solutions. I'm always upfront about that. If the Cardinals hang on to Burleson and Nootbaar, they'll be hoping to get a lot more from them over the next 2 or 3 seasons. Nootbaar in particular does have a lot of offensive upside if you believe that StatCast will actually lead to results. But he's been in and out of the lineup too many times. And you can see since he got back in the last week or so, he's really hitting and he's looking like a catalyst again. But how long will that last? We've been down this road before, and it usually, to use a metaphor, we're down that road, we're going down that road again. Usually ends up with a flat tire or an overheated engine, or you throw a rod, or the radiator goes, or any number of issues. You go down the road and it leads to a broken car, right? Those injuries have repeatedly stalled his progress. I wish I didn't have to talk about that, but we know it's a big part of Nootbaar's experience in St. Louis. I will tout one prospect, and I know some of you know about him. And by the way, I'm not making any predictions. I'm just explaining who this guy is and where he is. I'm intrigued by a young outfield prospect named Joshua Báez. He was a second-round pick right out of high school in Massachusetts in the 2021 MLB draft. The Cardinals, Randy Flores, thought enough of him. It's like, let's grab this guy. I forget what number he was, but he was in the second round. Now, after struggling terribly early in his minor league developmental time, he's a high school kid. Some high school kids hit the ground running, but a lot of them need time. Well, Joshua Báez is having a breakout season this year at age 22. He started at high A, and he's been at double A now for a good long time this season. At 2 different levels, he has hit for robust power. He has drawn a lot of walks. He has kept his strikeouts at a reasonable level, I think at like 22%. And on top of that, if you're thinking, well, he sounds like a big lug Bernie, right? One of those guys, big, huge guy, probably can't run very well, right? I wouldn't blame you for assuming that at all. But Joshua Báez this year at his two different stops on the minor league chain of the Cardinals, he's got 46 stolen bases in 53 attempts. I mean, the dude absolutely has talent. There is no question about that. And he's moving up their top 30 list. But, I would say sometime around the middle of 2026, would he be ready to graduate to the major leagues? Can't rule it out, given this amazing progress he's made where it all started to kick in 2025. So that's one guy that I always keep an eye on. I go to the box score to see how he's doing. Now, I'm a proponent of Nathan Church, and you're getting a chance to see him. I know he doesn't have a hit yet, but he's making himself useful. He's getting some things done, and he will hit. And he could emerge. It's in theory, he could emerge as the starting center fielder maybe next season if the Cardinals believe he has more upside offensively than Victor Scott, and if he is showing more offense than Victor Scott, because I love Victor Scott, and I love the fact that he's so terrific defensively and he steals a lot of bases. But Church moves really, really well, and he covers a lot of ground in center. But Church, here we go with StatCast again. Some of the people that I have great respect for, so I'm not even going to make fun of them. Church does not have good bat speed. He doesn't. And some of those StatCast metrics are not favorable. They don't look good. But, keep in mind, on the other hand, you got a Lars Nootbaar, and the StatCast people just constantly gush over him, and yet he can't get any traction in the big leagues. Nathan Church just looks like a hitter to me. You don't need him to hit 25 home runs. The Cardinals need offense in any form from their outfield. But Nathan Church is still kind of an open-ended question. Now, Bloom can go out. The Cardinals are not going to spend a lot in free agency this coming off season. But I'm sure because coming from the Tampa Bay system, Rob Cerfolio, the Cleveland system, and all the smart people, one of the things they all have done very well in their careers, they find really good value without spending a lot of money. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'd much rather have that than spending a lot of money and not getting the value. They could take a chance on a trade or two, or I should say a moderately priced free agent or two to play the outfield. Maybe they can set up a platoon. I don't know. A lot of that depends on whether they trade an outfielder or two away, or they're leaving space open for Church, or they're leaving space open for Joshua Báez at some point in 2026. It's really hard to make predictions here because there's a lot of moving parts. Maybe they would take a chance on a trade that could turn out to be a bonanza, just like the one Chaim Bloom, his own self, made in Boston when he flipped a backup catcher, Christian Vasquez, to Houston for the young outfield prospect, Willier Abreu. Go take a look at Abreu at Baseball Reference. Abreu, I should say. Sorry about that. He got a lot of Rookie of the Year votes in 2023. He won a Gold Glove in 2023, and he's about 24% above average offensively since he became a Red Sox. That is an example of the kind of trades that I think a Chaim Bloom can pull off in St. Louis. I agree with my friend and colleague Randy Carricker at STL Sports Central and others who say the Cardinals really should be giving they should be giving center field reps to JJ Wetherholt, their number one prospect. JJ has the athleticism to handle the demands of playing center field, and the Cardinals are overcrowded in the infield. Again, I expect them to make some trades with people being offloaded, but you don't know for sure who they will try to offload and will they get it done. But the Cardinals do have a need for offense in the outfield, and JJ Wetherholt is a smart player who has shown he can adapt to any position in the infield, and I would have a hard time believing he could not adapt and play you a respectable brand of outfield defense. Plus, you get his bat in the outfield mix. Just an idea. I have no idea whether the Cardinals say, forget it, you all are crazy, or maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think the Cardinals are going to do this anytime soon, but at some point, I do know this, you know this too, at some point, Chaim Bloom and his new front office, they're just going to have to find a way to put more offense in that outfield. John Mozeliak failed. I mean, their outfield offense has been dormant for way too long. And now it's Chaim Bloom's problem. He wanted the job. So he's going to have to solve the problem, right? And I'm curious to see how he will go about it. That's all for today. I thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel for our extensive coverage of all the local teams that you care about and all the live streams after every game. I'll be back on Monday with another Bernie Show video presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.